only by foreign investment. Everybody thought the Indian economy would also be driven by foreign investment. That is why we opened all our sectors. We made our mind foreign dependent. We lost confidence in the capacity of our own entrepreneurs, our business people, to develop India. And in fact, people like Tatas were told by the foreign consultants whom they consulted that you can't do this steel business. It's a global level business. You don't have the capital to do that kind of business. This capacity building is needed. And you don't have the money to build that business. Better sell it. Why are you manufacturing these commercial vehicles? It has to be manufactured in millions. You can't do it. Stop it. The only business which you can do is Tata Consultancy Services. This was a serious advice given to Tatas in 1993-94. Ratan Tata decided, you are advising me like this, I will produce a car. You know, in this country, the production of car by Tatas must rank as a turning point of bringing up confidence into Indian corporate sector. Otherwise, the Indian corporate sector would have sold and gone away. These are all turning points. I don't think the Indian economists or economic historians or people who write on Indian economy or the government can even appreciate the psychological shift that was given by such events. And investing abroad. Once you liberalize, our people began investing abroad. And Yale University wrote, it is no more the East India Company coming and buying India. India is out to buy abroad. You can see how many more foreign takeovers our people did. The picture changed. But the picture changed not because of government policies. The demotivation by the government of the Indian entrepreneurs was so complete that if India came out of it, it is not because of any government effort to make the Indians strong. They always tried to make the Indians weak, saying that foreign investment can only develop India. I am going to give you the statistics which will make your eyes pop out. That between 1991 and 2011, out of the total investment made in India, only 1.2% came from outside India. 98.8% was generated by Indian savings, and particularly household savings. This shook the West. Because you are not dependent on exports, you are not dependent on foreign markets, you are not dependent on foreign capital, and your consumption and savings are so balanced that you are able to generate enough amount of money that you need to invest in this country to prop up your growth rate to as high as 10%. This shook the economists in the West. This is a new model. This has never happened in the history of any emerging economy. Have you ever heard a newspaper writing on this? And there are people who have done researches on it. Goldman Sachs, which is the topmost banking institution in the world, in their global paper number 187 released in October 2010, they brought out how the Indian infrastructure would be funded in this country. They said originally into the 1990s, we thought $400 billion would be needed for building infrastructure in India. In fact, we were told we can never produce that kind of capital, we need only foreign investment in infrastructure, whether it is power, whether it is telecom, whether it is road, or bridges, or whatever. We need to bring in foreign investment. And this figure got revised to $1.2 trillion in the year 2001. And Goldman Sachs said, it is no more 400 billion or 1.2 trillion. India needs $1.7 trillion. They said in 2010. And they added one more. They said for this $1.7 trillion investment, India will not be needing even $1 from outside the country, because the Indian household makes so much savings that they will be able to fulfill their entire capital requirements. And they estimated between 2016 and 2026, the savings to GDP ratio of India will be 40%. And the annual savings will be $800 billion cash by India. And you may ask me, what is $800 savings. $800 billion was the total of all bank advances to all sectors of the economy in 2010. That will be the annual savings. So Goldman Sachs said, it is the household savings which is going to drive the Indian economy, and infrastructure investment of India will drive the global economy. This is what they said in 2010. So the picture that has emerged between 1991 and 2011 has completely repudiated all the economic theories by which we were told this is how the Indian economy will develop. The people have developed the economy in a different way. So we must first basically understand that when we are talking about foreign investment, we don't need foreign investment for our growth. We need foreign currency for bridging the capital current account deficit in the external sector. So the entire debate gets narrowed down to what is the cause of the current account deficit in this country. We were told you are importing gold, and that is why the huge deficit has occurred in the external sector. I see some lady laughing. And I am a great supporter of you buying gold, I will tell you why. And he said, no, the petroleum prices have gone up. And so you have to pay huge outgo of foreign exchange. These are the two things because of which the Indian external sector became weak, and we incurred an external sector deficit, current account deficit of $339 billion in 9 years of the UPA rule. The 10th year is on. They said we will add only another $70 billion. As if $70 billion is a very small amount which you can pay by your left pocket. $70 billion is a huge amount. And they say we have brought it down to $70 billion. I will explain the story, and I will explain it. Those who have gone through my articles in the Indian Express and Business Line would have known how the entire theory of gold and oil being the cause of the current account deficit is a false story. The oil import, definitely every country had to pay more for oil. India also paid more for oil. It is not that only India paid more for oil. The oil exports, if it is reduced from oil imports, Reliance exports $40 billion worth of refined oil every year, for which they import oil. So you can't take only the import of oil. You want to reduce the export of oil and take the net oil imports. The net oil imports in the last 9 years is $515 billion. The net gold imports after export of jewelry items is $160 billion. 9 years. You know why the huge current account deficit? It is because we imported capital equipment for $587 billion. Even the government of India probably was not aware that the biggest hole, that the current account has been torpedoed by such a huge capital goods import, and you cannot understand how the capital goods import of such a huge elephantine item was unprecedented in the history of any emerging economy. Look back to 2002, 2003, 2004. In these 2 years only, India had a current account surplus. In between 1950 and 2013, only 4 years India had current account surplus. From 1950 to 1976, 1975, it did not have current account surplus. 76 March, it did not have current account surplus. 76, 77, 77, 78, it had current account surplus. Small current account surplus. Otherwise, till 2002, it had only current account deficit. In 2002-3, 2003-4, it had a current account surplus of $22 billion. This is what made the world wake up to India. That India is not export dependent, but still it is generating current account surplus. It is reducing its foreign debt. Foreign debt had gone to the lowest limit in 2004. West began seeing India as a rising global economic power for three reasons. One, it does not need capital from outside. Two, it is not dependent on global markets. Three, it is still making a current account surplus. It means it is developing as a very disciplined economy. That is why world leaders began praising India as a rising global economic giant. You know, in 2003-2004, what is the amount of capital goods import of India? $10 billion. In 2004-5, $25 billion. 2005-6, $38 billion. 2006-7, $47 billion. It went up to $99 billion. Came down to $92 billion in 2012-13. This completely smashed the Indian economy down. The capital goods industry was finished. L&T closed down its establishment. Jayaprakash closed down its establishment. BHEL began functioning as half the capacity. All of them began importing equipments from China and began assembling it in CKD technology. And this capital goods import did not happen on its own. The government of India red carpeted it by reducing the import duty and customs duty, excise duty. Capital equipments beyond 1000 megawatt was given zero rated duty because of Ambani's. The country was looted. All the papers were shut because they were bribed. It's all on record. And because customs rates and excise rates were cut, these benefits were not, the small scale industry was happy, the rate has been cut. But you are not the beneficiary. The beneficiaries were the biggest industrialists in India. The corporate profit to GDP ratio, which was 11% in 2006, went up to 14% in 2009. When the world economy was shaking and corporates were losing, Indian corporates' income to GDP ratio went up. Why? Because you gave them tax cuts. The tax cuts that were given from 2008 onwards in 5 years was 23 lakh crores. This is what, not me, this is what the statement of revenue foregone which is attached to the budget document say. Nobody reads these documents. Media doesn't read. Commentators do not read. Businessmen do not read. And the annual outgo on account of exemptions given was 5.5 lakh crores. It used to be 2.5 lakh crores before 2008. In 2005, Manmohan Singh and Chidambaram, both of them said that our tax rates are the lowest in the world. Yes, Indian income tax rate is lower than America's, lower than Japan's, lower than all the countries of Europe, lower than emerging economies. Where is the need for exemptions? Corporate exemptions. You know, the corporate rate of taxation in India is 33%, but their effective rate of taxation is 21% because of exemptions. And companies which are earning more than 100 are paying at 21%. The companies which are earning less than 100, they are paying at 26%. So the more earnings you have, the more exemptions you get. And 2.5 lakh is the tax waiver every year. And Manmohan Singh and Chidambaram said in 2005 February, it all came in newspapers, you can Google it and find out, that because we are giving so much exemption, there is no, the tax rate is so low, we need not have to give exemption, we will withdraw the exemption. Everybody thought the exemption will be withdrawn. But the statement itself was made so that people go and pay the money to them to see the exemptions were not withdrawn. It was not withdrawn. Not a single rupee of exemption was withdrawn. Why make the statement?